Because in life, we're always looking for stuff to happen like one after the
And
other.
see
It
that why I can't get a break in
never
between.
happens
Yeah.
like that. What's up, fam? Welcome back to Every Second Sunday with J and J. I'm Jalisa, and I'm here with my cousin James for another great episode. Today, we're talking about perseverance. How do we keep going when things get tough, when things are difficult? We always have some goals for each episode because we want this to be fun, but we also want it to be a little information, a little educational. We want you to walk away with something that you can use. So when it comes to perseverance, cousin, what do you say when we talk about perseverance? What does that look like for you?
Let's start with the definition. So in the Merriam-Webster's, we see that perseverance is a continued effort to do or achieve something despite difficulties, failure, or opposition. The action or condition or an instance of persevering, right? Steadfastness,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I like that.
So I think we definitely see perseverance as persistence, right? Not giving up,
Okay.
regardless of the situation, the variables that are in this equation that are either working for you or working against you, right? Because sometimes we have some highs, and sometimes that can be a trap or something to set you off of that path and focus. Also, I think we also like to look at the benefits of perseverance.
What do you do when you're struggling with something or you're trying to push through something and it just feels like it's an uphill battle? Like how do you take care of yourself even as you're trying to push through and get to your goals?
I think that one of the major things I've had to learn, it's step one for me immediately, is just being aware, right? Sometimes being aware that I'm losing focus, I'm losing control, and really getting back on that solid ground, breathing,
Okay.
making sure that I'm clearing my mind and clearing my head in that moment.
Yeah.
Not panicking, right? Not getting those panic attacks, those anxiety attacks, really
Yeah.
breathing and really clearing my head for a second, giving myself a pause, if you will, right? Because we want
Mm-hmm.
to hit play, we want to hit fast forward, right?
Yeah.
But how many times do we just want to pause?
That part.
So I think that's been the biggest key, being aware, actually catching it, being aware and being able to pause,
Yeah.
breathe and reset, if you will.
Because I think for me too, not only just being able to pause, but being able to pivot.
And
Because I think,
adjustments. That was a great one, cousin. I love that.
yeah, right. Because I think a lot of us, we develop like a plan. It's like there's a goal,
That's
and I
right.
have a plan from how I'm going to reach that goal. And you start following the plan, and you start thinking you can't do things any other way.
That's correct.
And
That's
being
correct.
able to, like you said, you pause.
Train on the track.
Yeah, you give yourself that opportunity. I'm going to pause. I'm going to think about it. Okay, maybe this part isn't working.
The
Maybe I'm gonna move
adjustments.
around
Yeah.
and go to the next stage.
That
You know
point
what
of
I'm saying?
pivot. Oh, that's a great one, cousin.
I know for me personally, like once
It's
I come up
okay.
with a plan of
Yeah.
action, it
Yeah.
is so hard to move away from it and be like, nope.
Oh man. Nah, you hit it on the
Turn
head,
around.
cousin. That's correct. Yeah.
The panicky feeling, because it's like if this doesn't work out, then that might not work out. That might not work out. Besides pausing, what else do you do? Like, what's like your day to day? You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's like really busy for you. You just got a lot
Really,
going.
like I said, being able to list the steps that I have. Like you said, man, sometimes you have to change a step, but actually having that recipe,
Yeah.
right, where maybe I can change this ingredient, maybe, but having it though, right? Because we say
Right.
sometimes if you don't plan, right, you just expecting to fail, right? Kind of winging it doesn't work these days. For me, it hasn't. I don't know about for you, cousin.
Fail to plan.
House always wins, right? So
Plan to fail.
that gamble sometimes comes at a cost that we don't want to pay.
That
So definitely having those steps laid out from day to day, knowing that if I've planned ahead, at least I have something to look at. If it doesn't go as I wanted to, I can still look back at what I had and say what didn't work and what did work. It also gives me a measurement to put on the scale later on. What would be another thing, cousin?
Planning, pausing, and okay, all the P's.
I like
think
that.
for me also, I don't take care of myself very well when I'm like too busy, too preoccupied. So I don't drink water.
I'm glad you said that. Sleep, cousin. Finding myself having actually going to sleep. Sleep deprivation for me has been one of the top things I'm putting on the pyramid. Not realizing that those hours do cut up. They say sleep is for suckers. I like that one. I'll sleep when I pass away, and I'm like, no, The brain needs sleep. You need
Yeah.
to reset. After that, like you said, in the moment of pausing, sometimes you just have to pause though and make sure you get that rest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so definitely the water, knowing what I'm intaking, my food, how I'm eating.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, and that sleep is a big thing, because I think for me, I'm one of those people that's uncomfortable if I feel like I have too much stuff to do, right? And
Right.
so it's like I'll lay down and my brain won't be racing,
But
but
it's not shut down though.
it's not shut down, and it's always like niggling in the back of my mind that you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. Like I've been asleep and like woke up in the middle, like you ever just like
Same.
sit up straight in bed,
Same. Go time, and I'm like,
I gotta do it.
Who hit the button? Who hit the button?
And like,
looks
and
around,
I'm one of
it's
those
only
people.
me.
I am like obsessive about sleep. Like I have to get sleep. Like that's the biggest. I'm not a pleasant person to be around when I'm tired.
I'm getting there. That's me.
If I'm
That's
tired,
me. I'm not a pleasant. Yeah.
Don't talk to me.
eating and sleeping will definitely set me off. Of course.
You know, I can go without. I mean, I can't do it as much as I used to. I used to be able to go without
but
eating.
I shouldn't.
But sleeping, that was like my big thing. If my sleep was interrupted, or if I just didn't really feel like I got enough. And sometimes I'll play myself because sometimes you just really can't sleep. You got a lot going on. You're stressed out.
That's true.
And
That's true.
I would try to force myself.
The conditioning. Yeah. That's rougher. That's even.
And I would be so mad. And then later, you're sleepy at the worst time that you're supposed to be sleepy. So I just be like so mad. So what I've started doing lately too is just, I guess, more listening to my body. And I think that's another self-care thing, is listening to my body. It's kind of like, if this is important enough to you. So most people know I'm taking my licensing exam.
Come on, cousin.
It has been a lot.
That's it.
It has been a lot. I've taken.
Nobody said the road would be easy, cousin, but you doing
Nobody
it.
Said
you still on the road though. But you still on the road.
It's hard though either.
You haven't swerved off the road though.
Maybe they did. But it's been difficult. I've taken it twice, and I'm taking it again. So that tells you what happened. So it's been very difficult. It's been very difficult dealing with the fact that I didn't get the outcome that I wanted, even though I worked really hard to get it. That has been very tough for me to deal with. And I was one of those, I don't want to say smart kids. I mean, I was just able to perform. I've always been somebody who was able to, you put it in front of me, I could pick it up, I could take it, and I can go. But I never really tried that hard when I was in school. I didn't. I was just good at regurgitating information, and that's pretty much what school is, right? And I
remember you being my Matilda. You were reading before you could walk.
I don't know if I read before I could walk.
I remember you carrying 6 books up and down the hill, no shoes.
What hill?
Uphill both ways.
In the snow. What hills were we on?
Not accurate?
I think your imagination's a little
exaggeration. Okay.
It's a little healthy today, cousin. It's a little healthy imagination today.
Okay. You were definitely reading at a very young age, though, cousin. And like you said, you've always been able to retain and regurgitate to the highest level.
Yeah, but I never really tried, and I learned. I actually learned in grad school that I really was not a good student. I wasn't a good student because it was like, you don't know how to, like, the discipline wasn't there to,
man. Oh, you hit a good one. Discipline. Go ahead.
Because I never had to. And shout out to the United States public education system, New York public education. Okay, gifted and talented. All right. You can retain and regurgitate. Congratulations.
You got it. Go on and be great.
Oh God, that's like the perfect attendance awards.
Come on.
Okay, talk about perseverance. Let's talk about that conversation. Let's talk about how somebody was forced to go to school every day. Every day that the school was open. I'm talking about through blizzards. I'm talking about through bus strikes. I'm talking about sick, and I had to
go. My cousin don't get tired.
How?
She in there every day.
How?
Started taking attendance.
A perfect attendance award. It gotta make sense. It gotta make sense. I'm like, so all that meant is I was a warm body in a seat, and somebody made money. We're not even going there today, because we're not going there today, though, cousin. We're not even. Y'all have to know how much I hate that perfect attendance award.
It's in the paper. It's in the paper. We're still looking for the clip out. We're still looking for the clip out. It's on the way. We'll flash that right here on the next episode.
I went back to high school. They had it on the newspaper clipping on the wall.
Put it right
Why?
Here. Drops it. Inserts right here.
What achievement was that? Meanwhile, so talk about perseverance, okay? Just the perseverance to even show up against your will.
That's right. Being steadfast in that mentality. I'm here. I'm enduring it.
I'm here.
That's it.
But learning how to take care of my body, right? That ties into the next point we're going to bring up, because we were raised by a generation of people who really had to defy so many odds, right? To get where they were.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? And so I kind of learned early on that, oh, you just keep going. You're tired, keep going. You're sick, keep going. You know,
that's right. That's exactly right, cousin.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
And it's like, yeah, that gets what you want. That gets you what you want. But at what cost?
In the short term, that looks great, right?
Yeah, on paper.
And on paper, in the short, the sprint, that looks really good. You finished first. You're winning. You got the accolades and the medals, and then in the marathon, in the long run, does it look the same? Does it translate out that?
Well, it's like what it costs, right? And so, like you said, the marathon. How many people go to the hospital after completing a marathon? And it's like,
they say a marathon could be compared to smoking 6 packs of cigarettes. Don't quote me on that, but they say it can be very detrimental to your health because of the exertion that you put on your body. We're talking about the training that leads up to it, the actual event, and the recovery afterwards. If you're at a higher level, right? If you're really doing this competitively. So
remember that half marathon I did?
How'd it feel? You made it across that finish line.
Couldn't walk right for 2 weeks.
Drags across finish line. I did it.
I sure did.
Let's get another one.
No, I sprinted across the finish line after dragging it for 3 hours.
That's right.
I had one leg dragging.
That's it. Made it. That's it.
I did it.
Oh my goodness, man.
What lessons did we learn from the elders and the ancestors? You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's exactly right. By any means necessary.
Back to the 8, you know. We touched on our origins, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, we traced back to the plantation. We found out a bit about our family history. So from what I understand, we moved from the plantation. And then much of our family were migrant. Why? What's the face?
Pause. Pause. Put a pause on the plate. Look at my cousin's fit. Look at my cousin's fit. Why are you glowing? I'm over here in my notes and I look to my left. I look at screen. Wake up, James. Wake up. Look at the fit. Look at the denim with the flowers. She got the oh my goodness. She got the Kelly and Dilemma. Kelly and Nelly. Kelly Rowland and Nelly. Huh?
Well,
I'm not mad at it, cousin.
We watched the verses. We watching the verses.
We're not doing that today. We're not bringing up anything in the past today, except for generations in the Barnes family. We're not bringing up verses yesterday. Yesterday's prices are not today's prices. They didn't show up. We here today. We here today. Oh my goodness! I told
you can't let me watch verses. I'll be in my
it never ends
till my baby's born. Okay?
Oh my! Till my baby. Go ahead. I'm not gonna do it today. I'm not gonna do it.
I think we did it.
They ain't put the screw in the tuna after you did. After you did. My cousin out here shining. I ain't mad at that. Resume.
Not resume. I can't. You play so much. Back to the 8. Back to the 8. You know, no, back to the migrant workers. Okay, so we went from the plantation to, I believe our family, much of our family were migrant workers and sharecroppers, right? So we went from that to labor, right? So the other types of labor. So I think we said our granddad drove a truck. Big Mama was she was a bus driver, but she didn't start working for a while after she got married, or after I think a lot of the kids were grown by the time she went to work. But so we come from a family of laborers and entrepreneurs, though, because our great grandfather
Yeah. On
On
Big
Big
Mama's
Mama's
side, yeah,
side.
he owned
Yep.
a lot. He was a boxer,
He was a
printing
boxer.
business,
Yes,
publishing.
I
Yep,
forgot
yeah.
about that. Yeah, he was a
Freemason. So he
boxer.
did a lot of networking, and like you said,
He owned a printing press.
that's right.
He owned
That's right.
several businesses,
No,
actually. Yeah.
definitely,
So I
definitely,
mean, we come from hard working stock. Like
definitely.
we work in this
Hardworking stock
community.
and
We
people who
push.
took account of information.
Mm-hmm.
Secretarial and clerical work definitely did.
That part. Who did that?
Big Mama did. Big Mama as well as great
Oh,
grandmommy did as well.
and
Yeah.
you do what you have to do.
And
Um,
like that's what I was about to say. Being able to make those pivots and adjustments to any trade. I'm gonna
mm-hmm.
figure out this trade. I'm gonna make it work for me.
Mm-hmm.
If it
That
doesn't
part,
work
I'm gonna
for me, I'm
figure it
gonna figure
out
out
and I'm
another
gonna make
way.
it work. I think
That's right.
that's like our mantra. I'm gonna figure it out and I'm gonna make it work. That applied to our parents as well, right? And so they were all encouraged to go to college, and they did. They were all first generation college graduates, all 8 of them, and that's a big deal.
It's a big deal
I
coming
really
out
think
of
that's a
a
big deal when you talk
low
about
income
feeding a
house.
family of 10,
Yeah. Yeah.
temporarily on an income of 1.
Yeah.
We talked about last time we talked, that's not easy to do on Long Island, New York. Like that says a lot.
Exactly. And now, right? Yeah.
And they all of them went to college. All of them, succeeded and thrived in whatever fields that they chose. You know what I mean? Like that
And one big,
means
they were
so
all
much.
able to just about self maintain, right? Self
Yep.
sustain, self
Self-sustaining,
maintain, right?
self-maintained, Yep.
Right.
What does that cost?
Yeah. What at what cost did that come to, man?
Yeah, what did it cost?
What did it
Right?
cost?
Like you said, they had to figure it out because again, none of them came from money, none of them came from parents who had done this before, and they all kind of went their separate ways.
Indeed, definitely, definitely
Um
did. Forge your own
mhm,
path and do it. You know,
however
yeah,
you
your own
however you do it.
signature. There was always I want to have my own signature, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think so when you start having kids though, right?
Okay.
And it turned into, I don't want you to have to go through what I had to go through to figure this out, right?
Mm,
It was like, I didn't have anybody when it was my turn. Now it's your turn, and you have me and
you
us.
have me, and you're going to use me. I didn't have anybody. I had no options. You have an option, and you're going to use that option.
But do I have options?
Hmm. But do I have options?
Do I
But
actually
do
have
I have
options?
options? Hmm.
So everybody knows that Jalisa used to fail tests on purpose.
Come on, Tank and Test. Talk about it. Talk your truth.
All right, so we grew up in the 90s with the whole what was it? The gifted and talented, uh
Yeah.
all of that, rolling your eyes. See,
Now you
I
trying to
see
make me
it.
think of what they called ours, but yeah, it's like TD or some talent development. Yeah, the
Yep,
gifted pro AG, accelerated
yep,
gifts or something. Yep,
yep.
advanced. Mm-hmm.
And what did that mean besides you can retain and regurgitate at a faster rate than your peers? Okay.
That's it.
Um,
That's it. You might be a little more skilled and sweat a little less, right? That's it. You might pronunciate a
literally,
little bit clearer and a little louder.
that's
That's
it.
it.
And all of us, all the cousins were blessed with the fast regurgitation skills, and so I think most of us ended up in some of those types of programs.
Especially in that
Yeah,
decade, especially in
especially in
that
that decade, in
generation.
that area,
Definitely
everybody's
did.
trying to get into the most prestigious, whatever the
Yeah.
case may be. And again, I was not a good
Says assistance of parents on the we go ahead, continue.
what?
Says assistance of parents, a little push. We definitely had pushers. Go ahead though. Go ahead. I ain't gonna pull you, I'm gonna push you. Go ahead, cousin.
But okay, and so like I said, I was really not a good student in that I didn't really have discipline when it came to studying, and I was that kid where it was like, if it's too hard, I don't care enough to deal with it,
Same.
and I'm gonna go along to get along, and
Same.
as long as you don't bother me, we're
That's
good.
it. Path of least resistance. Same, cousin. Go
Okay,
ahead. You're
as long
right.
as I can get a book that I like to read and go sit
That's
in the
it.
corner and read it,
Let me get my piece at some point. I'm gonna do
I'm
this
all
for you,
good.
but let me get my piece at some point.
Right.
That's it. What was it? What
Contractual. It's
cost?
a
What does this
contract.
cost? What does
It's a
peace cost
contract.
today?
That part. I'm gonna do this.
That's
I'm gonna
it.
do this bare minimum, so
Please.
you will leave me alone.
Please give me my piece.
So I can go
Please.
read my book. You try to make me do stuff that I don't care about.
Each and every time, just about.
That's it.
High percentage. High percentage.
That's
High
it.
percentage
That's it.
contracts. Yeah.
That's it. And so, as my parents would find stuff out, they would find out about, this program is really good, and this looks good to colleges, and this, that, and the third. And I'm just kind of like, all right, but leave me alone. I don't want to
I hear you. I'm
go.
listening, kind of.
And they would make me take they would make me take these entrance exams. And I mean, I learned the hard way, because it would be like, well, just take it and see what happens, right?
That's
Just,
right. See how it
like, just
goes.
see what
Yeah.
happens. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean you have to go.
Nothing gained, nothing lost. Let's just see.
Oh, but if Jalisa passes that exam, Jalisa is going into that program. So
It ain't throwing a pebble in the lake. It's you jumping in there and swimming. what what happened to the test? What happened
wait,
to the
what
practice
happens to
swim?
it? Not
What happened
guaranteed.
to the sample taste?
Okay.
Nope.
So Jalisa learned, if we fail a test, then there's no choice. I don't have to go
I'm gonna
anywhere.
eliminate my options. You hear me? I'm taking this into my hands. Into
Listen,
my
and
own
it
hands.
took some practice. It took some
Wow.
practice. The
What
first
age are
time
we
you
talking about
guys,
here, cousin?
let's see, I was 11
Okay.
when they made me test for the junior high school that I went to. And granted, I had a good time in junior high, so
Yeah. Yeah.
looking back, that was
Yeah.
probably a good move.
Okay.
Um, but I don't think I didn't think to fail that test, but I didn't want to go to that school, so I
Right. Right.
passed that test and I had to go. They were like, "You're going." Okay, bet. Then my mom found out about this. It was called Prep for Prep, and it like prepares you for college. And they actually had like a boarding school type program set up or
Mm.
whatever. And then they made me take it. Um, and I passed the test, but then there was an interview, and I made very clear in that interview that I was not interested in their program. And they were like, and they told my parents, they were like, well, she doesn't want it. So
She clearly doesn't want it.
like, she
She's
doesn't want
clearly
it.
stated.
Um,
It's an
I made
understatement.
very clear in that
Under,
interview,
over, and inner.
I
You
don't
hear
want
me?
it. And then so in New York, you have your pick of high schools. So I know in other places you kind of have to go where you're zoned, where your neighborhood is. In New York, you kind of pick high schools almost like you pick colleges. So I think I had a choice of like 5 high schools that I wanted to go to. And it was funny because me and my mom came across the same school differently that I wanted to go to. But then there are these specialized
You came
schools,
across the
right?
same school in different ways.
Came across the same school in different ways, and we both
Okay.
like that school.
Okay.
But there are
Okay.
also these specialized schools that are like the top-notch schools, and you have to test to get into those. And I knew where I wanted to go to high school by then, so I wasn't interested in testing for those specialized schools. But I knew they were gonna make me take that test. And did she fail it? She failed it. She failed it. I failed failing the test before. The interview saved me.
Failed failing
But
the test. Pause for the
that one
cause.
I failed.
I failed failing the test.
And my dad was like, "You failed this on purpose, didn't you?" I said, "I sure did." I said, "I sure did. I persevered at failing. I did."
Persistence. Persistence was the key. Lately here, I've been persevering, dealing with the passing of my mom, cousin. Just having moments where I have lost family members, like, we've lost our grandfather. We've lost our grandfather's siblings, right? And of course we felt loss on our grandmother's side of the family earlier in our lives, right? So those were things that we learned how to grieve through and get through. The circumstances in which my mother passed away has been kind of a different gambit in this season. I guess cousin, really just understanding what my priorities were prior to my mom passing, what my priorities have been after my mom passing, has really been something that I've had to stick and be steadfast in, cousin, because from day to day things can change, perspective wise, having moments of not necessarily doubt but question, reservations and hesitations when things, like you said, aren't seeming like they're either going according to plan, and figuring out that point to pivot, right, and that point to actually say, let me give it a little bit more, right, let me get a little bit more, little more persistence in this one, and also understanding when to pivot and being persistent in the adjustment, right?
Right. Yeah.
Using things that I've learned through therapy,
Mhm.
definitely.
Mhm.
um, and also really just having the support of the family,
Mhm.
certain friends and coworkers, some of my spiritual community and network,
Yeah.
spiritual leaders, in different literature have really
Mhm.
taught me and groomed me. I think one thing that you said earlier was the discipline, right?
Mhm.
Because there
Mhm.
was always just that kind of rebellion against the generation before, because the plan was always set. We always wanted to say, where's the pivot,
Right.
right? And I feel like for me personally, and I know we've shared a lot of conversations, but there was never that place to pivot, right? It was no A plus B equals C,
Yep.
right? And
I
it was
said
like,
it.
there ain't no D, E, or F, because I'm gonna get an F.
Really?
Y'all keep trying to put A in front of B and make it C. I'm gonna get an F today
Are
because I'm
you
tired.
sure?
I want my
Yeah.
piece, right? And it was
Yeah.
always just that kind of set recipe. And I think I was saying that earlier, having that recipe
Mhm.
and being able to change ingredients. You know what I mean? My taste is a little different today. I
Mhm.
still want to get to the same goal,
Right.
right? But my taste is a little different. So I want to change a couple things, but I still want the same dish
Right.
when I'm done cooking.
Yeah.
Right. I still want the
That's
same
good.
dish, but I want a little bit of a different taste. So it might be a little jerk sauce, a little
Some more
curry sauce in this, but
some
I
more
still want,
garlic, some more
yeah, I still
parmesan.
want rice with the veggies and everything,
Yeah.
but I want to change a couple of the ingredients. And
Mhm.
so um really being able to go outside of
Mhm.
knowing what the expectations are,
Mhm.
for self, like you said, self-care, knowing what my expectations are, as well
Mhm.
as being aware of everybody else's expectations, being aware of that, and having consideration for that, empathy and compassion to understand that
Yeah.
they want the best for you,
Yeah.
right? They want to see you succeed as well. Going off
Yeah.
of their history,
Mhm.
the path that they took, the things that they had to endure, the things that they got here is great.
Yeah.
And using that as well as being able to um, kind of insert and put in the things that I've been through,
Yeah.
and had to deal with that were a little different than what they had to deal with, but kind of almost translate the same,
Mhm.
in certain set situations and scenarios.
Yeah.
But I think that all of them, to sum it up, all of them are definitely lessons.
Mhm.
I feel like each thing has had to happen,
Mhm.
to know that today and tomorrow is still going to be way better than yesterday.
Yeah.
If yesterday was a great day, today and tomorrow is an even greater day.
Yeah.
Another opportunity and another chance to continue to strive and achieve, and work towards that goal, as well as make those pivots and adjustments, right?
Right.
Because we
Yeah.
didn't quit, we didn't stop, and we were allowed to have another one,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, for me personally, day to day, week to week, month to month, really understanding, um, I guess, the lesson and the
Yeah.
losses,
Yeah.
to gain more, so that as we go ahead, those losses don't hit as hard, and stop the train for the same amount of time, right? That train is
Right.
able to pick back up and keep rolling in a
Keep
healthy way,
going.
right, cousin?
Yeah.
In a healthy way, because we've
Yeah.
been able to do it in the past in an unhealthy way and see those outcomes,
Yeah.
right? So
And even those were lessons, right?
those
Just
are
kind of
lessons.
seeing, well, this doesn't work,
That's right.
and honestly, it's like goals are achieved, and I think what we see more of the fallout is in that interpersonal um realm, right?
Yeah.
How,
Yeah.
again, like I keep saying, like, what does it cost? Because what part of your humanity do you have to give up? What part of your, empathy and compassion? Because there are certain times in life that I've experienced, and I've kind of seen it on them, where it's kind of like you can't afford to have too much compassion, or you can't afford to have too much, you can't have too many emotions, you can't have too
Yeah.
much going on, because
Yeah.
stuff is just
That's right. It's a
hitting
war.
you
We're
like
we're on
this.
the field now. We're
Yeah.
not in the war room anymore. We're on the
Yeah.
field now, and it's like, yeah,
And we
survive
just
or
gotta
thrive.
go. We got to
Yeah.
barrel. We got to ram. But then you got to come home.
Yeah, you was in the field. You was getting all your licks and your scars and your wounds, but
It's like, you gotta come home, and then you have to be softer. And I think we haven't we haven't made a lot of we didn't have a lot of practice when it came to taking off the shields,
That's
taking off
right.
the armor
Oh, that's a big one.
to come home and be soft.
That's right.
Because if I come home and I'm soft, but you're home and you still have your armor on, then
You gave me a good one, cousin.
it's
We
another
both have talked
battle.
about this, but
Mhm.
I think, and my example would be, I got to a place to where I was absorbing so much energy as a child.
Mhm.
I probably was about, let's say, about 13, middle school. Also, I was in middle
Okay.
school, probably seventh going into eighth grade, all of eighth grade year, and I was walking around with a scowl.
Yep.
I had such a war face on me. I was a war baby. I had such a war face on me from dealing
I
with
like
things
it.
at home, dealing with things
War
in the
baby.
neighborhood, dealing with things at school. It was like you said earlier. When's my peace? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm
Mhm.
giving each and every different sector, each and every different group, each and every different atmosphere and ecosystem,
Mhm.
what they want, and I'm absorbing everything. And it was to the effect of where I didn't realize
Yep.
my scout and sitting in class or wherever we were hanging out in the gym, and a good friend, it was a good friend, but kids are honest, right? They're open and honest. They're like,
They too.
talking about each and everybody. This is, man, James, you always look like you want to fight somebody. Like, really? And I think that might have been a better day for me when I wasn't cognitive, I wasn't aware
Mhm.
of my demeanor,
Mhm.
but I still had, like you said, it just, I never shed it.
Yeah.
I never shed it in those moments. And it really made me realize. And I think that really made me, and I needed that from God. I really had to take account at that
Yeah.
point. It was almost like an angel, like,
Mhm.
turn the on switch. You can cut the light on. You can cut the light on. Yeah, you can cut the light on some,
Yeah. That's funny. I was a volcano. I was definitely I was definitely a volcano. Like the pressure would build and build and build and build, and then I would just erupt.
Mm,
And I can still be a volcano sometimes. It's like,
that's honest.
and it takes longer for the eruption.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
for me that means something. It takes a long time for the eruption. And you know how a volcano is, there's like one big explosion and then like there's like smaller that's what I
This
do.
volcano takes down
So
islands,
it's
so
like
this volcano doesn't even like
multiple
to erupt anymore. Islands
eruptions.
go in the ocean. So yeah,
But I appreciate our parents and their siblings because I tend to look at them as like they could be a dream team. Like I
yeah.
each and every one of them has like has been a resource to me in one way or another.
Each of them have their own
Um,
superpower, and
like
some of them have similar superpowers.
similar superpowers, but all different expressions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
your
yeah.
mom actually was the first to give me insight to to our family. So I could actually credit her a lot for some of my choices when it came to my career and digging into family stuff because she was actually the first person to kind of put some things in perspective for me that I really didn't understand, and I was really struggling with some of the dynamics that I was seeing in the family. And your mom was the first person to actually kind of break stuff down
That's
and talk
good.
a little bit about
Yeah,
what things were like when they were
yeah,
growing up, and nobody else was talking about it.
yeah, yeah.
Nobody else
Opening
was
that door
really
up. Opening that door up.
sharing
That door was closed.
honestly.
That door was closed.
That door was closed for so many, and I don't know if it was because we were kids or they felt, I think a lot of them it's very hard for them to talk about
Yeah,
things in their
moving past
past.
it and not revisiting
Yeah.
it sometimes, right, cousin? Like I've gotten
Yeah.
so far
But
from
your
where I'm
mom was
at.
always willing to talk and mull things over.
Yeah,
And I loved how, like, even if she didn't like agree in a certain way, she would always kind of go, "Well, I always thought about it like this."
yeah, 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 yeah.
I, we have
And that's
our
compassionate. That's having that. That's having that
yeah.
that 360
Yeah, and it was
perspective
I'm
on it.
hearing what you're saying. Like, and
Yeah,
I think we have a hard time with that, I think, in how we communicate with our family. Like we like to come in hard. It's like,
yeah,
no, but this, right? But in
yeah,
her, it's kind
yeah,
of like, I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm taking it in, and then here's where I'm coming from. And I'm gonna pull this part out. You know what I mean? And she was probably the first person that really made me feel I don't want to say good because I've always loved my family. I've always loved you
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
But that first piece of the puzzle, I guess, basically, where it was just like when things
It
were
was a
confusing
key.
for
It was
me.
handing you a
Yeah, it
key,
was a
right?
key,
Putting
and
the
it was
key in your
like,
hand. And that feels
yeah,
good. That's almost like
okay,
getting your first house or getting your first apartment.
yeah, the
You get a
door is
key, you feel
open.
a little relieved now because you had to go through all that stuff to get that key, right?
The door is open.
Paperwork, talking to people,
Yeah.
everything. And it's like, okay,
And then we got the uncle in the
yeah,
military, and he's like a master strategist, and he always has the plugs and the resources. It's like you need to
that's
figure
good.
anything out. He has somebody that you could talk to.
That's right.
We got the educator auntie, and we got, you know, the engineer uncle, and
That's right.
and he
And all that master's levels, if you ask me.
all the master's levels
Everybody,
and
yeah,
doctorate levels, you know what I mean?
in their niche. They are.
You know,
Yep.
we got the street smarts uncle. You know what I'm
That's
saying? That
right.
was the first one that was like, listen,
It's
guys, we're
crazy
gonna
you said
try
that
to
because
put
I was like,
the
I feel
game
like
on you.
our family was almost bred to be like salesmen. Like I might
That
not be
part.
selling a product, but I might be selling an
Telling
idea,
myself.
a
Yep.
thought, or whatever it
Mhm.
is. But I'm giving it to you in a format to where I
Yeah.
hope you can digest it. And
Yeah. So yeah, I love it. And so there's so many people you could just kind of pull from. You got the uncle with all the stories. You got, I'm not saying names right now.
we're not name dropping,
We're gonna
but
say their names soon,
you know,
but each and
not
every
name dropping
one
yet,
of
but
them, we got the
yeah,
teacher, you got
that's right.
the doctor, the educator that could break stuff down. You know
That's
what I'm
it.
saying?
And that's a
So
better word than a salesman. I feel like we've always had that kind of educating,
yeah,
like you said, nerd nature about
I'm
us.
gonna put you on.
Yeah. I
I'm
have
gonna put
something.
you on.
I'm a share it.
Yeah.
Sharing, right? A lot of sharing. That in all honesty though, cousin, a lot of sharing. I look at Joel's now. He's a great sharer, and I'm just
Mhm.
surprised because I felt like I was kind of until David was born, my little brother. I did feel like that only child. I would share with friends, but it was to an extent though, right? So I'll give
You
you his
share it with
last, his
me.
first, and his middle. What?
You
Yeah, I
share
share
it
with
with
my
me.
cousins. I love my cousins, but I definitely saw it in our
Yeah.
uncles, everybody, man. The aunt who loves to share and teach and just care, right? Caring and
Mhm.
sharing for all, man.
Yeah.
All the uncles, man.
Yeah,
All the
all of
uncles,
the
all
uncles.
the
I mean,
uncles,
and that's why, that's
cousins
why
alike.
family is so important to me. And I'm like, you talk about strength in numbers. Yeah, there is strength in family because if each and every person brought their skills to the table, and their complementary skills on top
They
of
are
that.
though. They
You know
all
what I
skills that
mean?
can work
They work
together.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
definitely.
I always think, and then, look at our cousins. Same thing. We
Same,
got the
exact
executives,
same
we got
thing.
the educators, we got
Exact same
you
thing.
know what I mean? The,
Yep, yep.
the
The health,
financiers.
the health, everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Financials, health,
that part.
every sector.
We're
Technology. Yep.
we're a dope family,
You're
and
right. Distribution.
persevering
That's it.
is
Yep.
definitely that key that is evident in all of us, that we want something, we'll go get it.
We're gonna learn how to get it.
We'll get it.
We're
We'll
gonna learn how
figure
to
it
get it.
out, you
Yep.
know?
And
And
be a
I
master
think
of it.
that's dope. But I do think for us, it was kind of finding that line between I'ma help you and I'ma control
The
the
control.
situation.
Oh, the
I'm gonna
control. You can
control
have
you.
that. You can
It's
have that.
like, bruh,
Over control. Yeah. That's
help
right.
me, but let
Yeah.
me make my choices and
Uh,
support me in my choices.
Teacher used to
Don't
say
make
in
me.
school, your parents can help you, but they can't do the assignment for
Oh,
you.
if they could, they would. They
They
tried
they
it.
would.
They tried their
They
darndest.
would. Here, put your name on this. Okay. Put your name on this.
Whoa, slow down, little red Corvette. Okay,
Go
wait
ahead,
a
write your
minute.
name and the date right here on the top. Okay.
Actually, erase all this and rewrite it in your own
Rewrite it
handwriting.
in your handwriting. That's all facts,
It's
cousin.
definitely funny. And I laugh all the time too. Because Jay and I, we share stories. We're closer to different relatives than others. So he lived close to the aunties and our granddad, and I lived up here with my dad, and some of our uncles were closer to me, and so sometimes we'll tell stories, and we're like, why are they all the same person?
Exact
How
same
do you have eight
scenarios,
people?
different people.
Why are they the same? Why are they the same? And it's funny because when we talk to the cousins, though, we have so many similarities.
Not even realizing.
We were talking about different sensory quirks that we have. We were talking about like textures and
That's
like
right.
foods
Taste
and
and stuff like
stuff,
that. Yeah.
taste, and
Yeah.
like I don't like cold. I don't like the feeling of cold on my feet. So I have to wear socks
Okay.
when I
You're
walk
not
around
walking around barefooted.
the house. I don't
I
like
think
walking
that works in everybody's favor, cousin. I don't know if that's as quirky as it is a benefit, but go ahead,
around.
continue.
Shut up. So annoying.
Drop screw in
I
tuna.
was being nice. You put the screw in. You didn't drop the screw in the tuna. You put the screw in the tuna. Intentionally.
Socks
Anyway,
on the feet.
I like wearing. Ironically, I'm barefoot though, but I'm on carpet. That's why. Shut up. Like I think the biggest thing for me though is like food. I have such a weird relationship with food. Like
What does that look like?
I don't like food that's mushy. So for
Okay.
me, like taste is important, but
Okay.
also texture is like
I
really,
was about
really
to say,
important.
okay.
I don't like mushy food. It has to either be it has to be crunchy or it has to have like a viscosity that's comfortable for me. But if it's
Okay.
like things like
That's my
grits,
cereal preference. Yeah, I
yeah,
can't eat it after it's become soggy
I
in the
can't.
milk. That's the negative.
I can't.
You might as well pour that down
I eat
the
cereal
garbage
like I'm going
disposal.
hungry because I have to eat
Same.
it before it goes soggy.
Same.
It's
Same.
not okay. I don't like English muffins, but our cousin Kitira loves English
Wow.
muffins. But I was
Wow.
like, same thing. It's the text. English muffins. It's
That's
the
the
texture
update.
and the taste. What?
That's the texture and the taste of English muffins. I don't believe I knew this already, cousin.
You didn't know?
I'm shocked. I'm
Are you team
flabbergasted.
English
I did
muffins?
not know. I haven't had English muffins in a while, but they used to be on the top of the list.
Get
My mom
out!
introduced me to English muffins, and I never turned back as a
Are you
child. The
serious?
nooks and the crannies. That's all they had to
It's
tell
and them
me.
nooks or the crannies. I don't
It was the nooks and the crannies with the
I don't
buttermilk
like it.
in it.
It's like eating rocks. I
Wow.
don't know. I don't like it.
Wow. I
I don't.
never
I
knew
can't
that.
do
I never knew
English
that.
muffins. Mac and cheese. I have to be very specific. Like I have to
Same.
have more
Can't
cheddar
do that
than
box.
any other cheese. It has
Talk
to.
about it.
Can't do the box. But even if you
Okay.
don't do the box, if it tastes too like I don't know, if it tastes too eggy or what, I don't know. But
Something. This ain't
I need
cheesy
to
right
taste
here.
the sharp cheddar. That's what
Agreed.
I need to taste in my mac and cheese. I
Agreed.
gotta taste the sharp cheddar, and I need to mix it with something. I gotta have it with the yams and with the collard greens. It gotta be
Okay.
the trifecta. If I try to eat it
Okay.
by
It's a
itself, it's a
team
little
effort. Back to the
okay.
team.
I can't be too aware that I'm eating mac and cheese. It gotta be choop 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 choop. And stuffing. I don't like stuffing because of
Yeah, I'm off of stuffing
soggy
as
bread.
well, cousin. Yeah,
You
same
off
on that.
stuffing too?
Same on that.
Who was it that
Yeah.
doesn't like banana? Somebody don't like bananas. Was
Hmm.
that you? That wasn't you?
No, it wasn't me. No,
I have to
I
have
eat
bananas, but bananas have to have the sweet spot for me. They can't be too ripe and they can't be too
I'm
raw.
coming around. I'm coming around. It could be either or
Coming around.
nowadays. I just
You
don't
can
like
come around.
bruises. Bruises are still,
Oh, I
still
can't.
trying to get over bruising, but
I
yeah,
can't.
I can eat them ripe over ripe.
But you know what? My workaround that is smoothies.
Yeah, that's what
So
I,
if it starts to
we're gonna
bruise,
work it out.
I put it in a smoothie and
Yeah,
then I don't have to think about it. But if I'm eating it and I got to think about the fact that there's bruises on this thing and I got to run into the bruises somewhere, I can't.
not having it, not
It's
having it.
too much. I can't
I'm
do it.
with you.
That's pretty much what we have for today. We did want to leave you guys with some book recommendations because both of us have at some point turned to, other resources to help us push through, different times of difficulty and struggle. So yeah, you lean on
Amazing way.
family, you lean on your
Yeah,
friends, and
yeah.
we're also a family of readers. Oh my gosh.
We are, man. I was gonna say like
Everybody has a
reading
library.
is achieving, right?
Why does everybody have a library? If you walk
Reading is
into
achieving.
any of our uncle's offices, my dad's office, you can see a wall of books.
Books,
You can see it right here in my little corner
books.
here, right? A wall. Not a bookshelf. Not
Not a
this
shelf, not one
shelf.
shelf.
A wall, a room. One of my uncles has a room of books like Beauty and the
A
Beast.
library,
It's
a
a
library.
library. How?
We
So
are a family of
sometimes,
readers.
people you surround yourself with, they mean well, they want to support, but they don't always have the words, and that's cool. But we turn to reading too. So, what would you say is on your recommended reading list?
One that I really had to push, it's probably been the past 2 years. It's called "The Changes That Heal" by Dr. Henry Cloud. After I lost my mother, just giving some guidelines and some steps, if you will, into really recovering from any type of traumatic experience,
Mhm.
and kind of getting closer to God as you try to walk find yourself maneuvering through those murky times, right? Another one would be A Cure for the Common Life. It's by Max Lucado or Lucado. Um, Living in your sweet spot, and it's really just finding that purpose again, or initially, if you haven't yet, finding God's purpose and how it relates to you, because everybody's purpose is an individual thing, right? Sometimes you want to reach out to people and ask them, how do you find your purpose? What is my purpose? Some people just want that direct answer. This is what you need to do, and people to give it to you. If you don't define your purpose or you don't understand your purpose,
Yep.
somebody's going to give you a purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
On this earth as humans, somebody will give you a purpose, and you'll live in that, but you won't find that same satisfaction, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's a great book.
What's been a really helpful book this year is Divine Disruptions with Tony Evans and his children. So they also went through a lot of loss within the last few years. They lost his wife and his children's mother. I think both his parents, his in-laws, like one of his brothers, a niece. Like they lost like so many people within like 2 years, and it's all about how do you push through. It's also a Christian book, a Bible-based book. And it really helped me when it came to dealing with the loss of Jay's mom, my Aunt Terry. So it hit all of us hard. We're gonna talk about that in upcoming episodes, about her passing and the circumstances that led up to it. But it was very sudden. It wasn't something that anybody was expecting or prepared for, and it hit all of us very
It
hard.
did. It
And
did.
we
It
had
did.
to turn to different avenues. That was a really good book for me. It made me, and you're reading from people who understand what it feels like, and these are people with busy lives and ministries and families and things that they have going on, and they had to navigate all of that through all of that loss. So
Ain't that normally how it happens, cousin? Everything is going
it
on, and you got
always
to
happens
navigate
like
through
that.
something. And
I
when
was
they
just
say it
thinking that
rains, it pours.
today. Because in life, we're always looking for stuff to happen like one after the
Yeah,
other. And
see,
it
that why I can't get a break in between.
never happens
Yeah,
like that. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
and like, yeah, even that, thinking about just last year, that her passing came on the heels of another, family emergency. And
It
then
was one
Jay
after
had to
the
go
other.
through a bunch of stuff. I had to
It was
go
one
through a
after
bunch
the
of stuff,
other.
and it was
Yeah,
literally just,
one after the other.
you
Literally,
can't, you
if it
can't,
wasn't in the same month, then it was the next month, a
the
couple
same month,
weeks.
the
It
next month.
was.
I mean,
It
all
was.
within the same year. I
Yeah,
mean, and I know each of us had our moments where we just had to stop and just break down, like allow that breakdown to happen.
that's right. That's right.
And so when you're trying to like just, and then you're trying to keep going because you still got stuff to do. Bills still got to get paid. Work still has to get done. Kids still got to get fed. You know what I mean?
You're
So
right.
persevering, even sometimes just living life is perseverance. It's not even a goal
That
that
is.
you're
That's
trying
what,
to
and I'm
achieve.
glad you
It's
said that,
like,
cousin. I'm
yeah,
glad you reiterated that point. Literally, if we haven't stopped, quit, and we're still here, able to
just
give it
functioning.
another chance, that's it. Functioning.
Just functioning is
The
perseverance.
gratefulness in that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but hopefully those books will be helpful to you all. Yeah. So we're just about done. What are we talking about next month, cousin?
I'm glad you asked, cousin. Next month we're going to be rolling right into um, common communication issues. Just talking about communicating in our daily life and our relationships, whether it be at work, right, with friends, with family members, even sometimes our pets and our plants. I don't know, cousin.
The pets and
You
the
tell
plants.
me. You got to
How do you
talk to everything.
communicate with the
You
pets
got to
and the
talk.
plants?
You got to relate. You got to communicate, right? That's a given. If you're on this earth and you're not a hermit up there on the mountain by yourself, you might be talking to yourself. Make sure you're communicating with yourself correctly. Let's talk about it.
Communicate with yourself.
You got to communicate with yourself. And I hope you're
out.
doing it in a healthy fashion, and I hope you're doing it properly. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, cousin.
I'm with it. Alrighty. So thanks again so much for joining us.
Thank you as
Looking
always.
forward to see what we got going on next time. Till
Tuning
then, stay cool
Stay breezy.
in this summer heat.
Love yourself. Love
And we'll
on
see
yourself.
you next time on Every Second Sunday with J and J.
With J and J.